Noah, are you here yet? I can't straighten these curtains by myself. Noah!
Sorry I'm late, Gramps. I got distracted by a Bible story I was reading.
Oh? Which one?
In 1 Kings chapters 18 and 19, about Elijah and the contest with the priests of Baal.
Oh, that's an exciting one, all right.
Yeah, after 3 years of drought, God sent Elijah to see King Ahab, and Ahab was still really angry. He called Elijah the troubler of Israel.
Oh, but Elijah said it wasn't him who had made the trouble in Israel.
Yeah, it was Ahab and his forefathers who turned away from God and worshipped the Baals. Elijah suggested a contest on Mount Carmel. Ahab agreed and rounded up many humans, among them a lot of priests of Baal and Asherah.
Yeah, there were 450 Baals and 400 Asherah priests.
Yikes, that's a lot of opposition.
Yeah. Elijah stood up and said to the humans, "How long will you waver between the two options? If the Lord God is God, follow him. If Baal is God, follow him." The people said nothing.
Then Elijah said they should bring 2 bulls, and the other guys could choose the one they wanted, and he'd take the other, and they would separately prepare bulls for sacrifice, put wood on the bull and the bulls on the altar, but not set them on fire. They'd pray to their separate gods and see whose god sent fire for the sacrifice. The people liked the idea, so the priests of Baal got everything ready for their sacrifice. They began to cry out to Baal and dance around the altar, and nothing happened.
About noon, Elijah began to tease them, saying things like, "Well, maybe your God is taking a nap, or maybe he went on vacation or something."
That probably wasn't nice.
No, I guess it wasn't, but they were false prophets after all, so they called out louder and even cut themselves. This went on until the time for the evening sacrifices that the Jews made to their God in the temple.
Elijah said to all the humans, "Come to me." He repaired God's altar with 12 stones, one for each tribe of Israel, and dug a trench all around it, and then he arranged the wood and cut up the bull and put it on top. And he had some humans pour 4 large jars of water over the offering and the wood and the rocks. He had them do that 2 more times until water ran down and filled up the trench. He prayed a quiet, simple little prayer, and zap! God sent fire and burned up not just the bull and the wood, but the rocks and the dirt, and even licked up the water in the trench.
The people cried out, "The Lord, he is God! The Lord, he is God!" Elijah had them grab those pagan priests and take them to the valley where they were slaughtered. Elijah told his servant to go tell Ahab he should go eat and drink because there was a sound of coming rain. Ahab went to his meal, and Elijah went to the top of Mount Carmel, where he bowed down to God and began to pray. 7 times he sent his servant to look out to see. At last the man reported a cloud, small as a man's hand, was rising from the sea. Elijah sent that servant to tell Ahab to hitch up his chariot and get down the mountain before the rain came. The sky started to turn black. God's power came on Elijah, and he tucked his robes into his belt and ran ahead of the king's chariot all the way to the city. And it rained and rained.
Wow, 3 huge miracles in one day. I wish I could do something like that for God.
Well, we all love to do something spectacular like that, but when Ahab got home, he told his wicked wife, Jezebel, what happened, and she sent word to Elijah saying she would have him killed by the next day. He ran for his life again.
Oh, I didn't read that far.
When Elijah came to a broom tree in the desert, he just felt like he'd had enough. He sat down and prayed to die, and then he fell asleep. After a while, an angel from God woke him and told him to get up and eat. Elijah saw a little cake on the fire and a jar of water. He ate and went back to sleep. The angel came a second time, and with more food. He told Elijah to eat, for the journey was too much for him.
What journey?
After Elijah ate, He traveled 40 days and nights until he came to Mount Horeb, the Mount of God. He went into a cave to spend the night. 40 days and nights? Wow. God asked him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And Elijah answered, "I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant and broken down your altars and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too." Elijah must have been really scared and depressed. God told him to go out and stand on the mountain and prepare, for the Lord was going to pass by. Wow, that's amazing and scary too. I mean, God is so powerful and so awesome. Oh, I don't know. Well, first there came a giant, powerful wind, but God wasn't in the wind. Then an earthquake shook everything, and God wasn't in that either. Then a fire went burning through, and after the fire passed, there came a gentle whisper. Oh, God whispered? That is really great power to do all that huge stuff and then whisper. Elijah pulled his cloak over his face and went out. God asked again what he was doing there, and Elijah answered the same way. The Lord said to him, "Go back the way you came. Go to the desert of Damascus." He was to anoint a couple of kings on his way, and he was to anoint Elisha, the son of Shaphat, to succeed him as prophet. The two anointed kings would kill any who still wanted Elisha dead, and Elisha would put to death any who escaped them. When he told Elijah, "Yet I have reserved 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed down to Baal, and whose mouths have not kissed him." Elijah was not the only believer left, and there were other prophets as well. Elijah went and did as he was told, and he served God as prophet for a while after that. So God protected Elijah, strengthened him, encouraged him, solved all of his problems, and sent him back to work. Elijah gave all he had to God, even his life. Noah, think about Elijah's life. Sometimes God allowed him to do mighty things, and sometimes there was great danger and he had to hide. It almost seems like God used the spectacular stuff just to point everyone's attention to the real miracle, the most important of which is the wonderful relationship Elijah had with God. And that miracle is available to every believer in the one true God. Wow. A relationship like that would be the greatest thing, greater than anything else. That's what I want most, to be that close to God. It took a miracle to hang the stars in place. It took a miracle to hang the world in space. But when he saved my soul, cleansed and made me whole, it took a miracle of love and grace. Yes. So, now, shall we get to those curtains? Yeah, I think we should.